Welcome to a special bonus episode of Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers lose the preseason opener, but the young players impress. We'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturdays. No matter how or where you get your podcasts, this one's always free, never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 25,000 subscribers, all of whom are excited for the first post-game bonus episode of the 2024-2025 season. It comes following a 124-107 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the preseason opener, first of 6 for the Lakers. No LeBron, no Anthony Davis. They will both play on Sunday, presumably. But it does, just for the record, and we'll get to the guys who did play here in a second, it does make sense, Andy. I think if you're going to sit one of them, it makes sense to sit both of them and not stagger the time that they're available. Have everyone available, have them not available, but keep those two together. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when we focus on what happened in tonight's game, I know for me personally, how they looked as a team, what looked different in terms of what they were running with Redick versus last season. I wasn't watching for any of that because between LeBron not being available to presumably, be involved on some level with the offense, and the way JJ and Anthony Davis have talked about him being more of a hub, all that stuff, like, respectfully to Jackson Hayes, they're not going to be using him in the same way. Trying to read too into just what is different now systematically, like that's a waste of time.
Well, I'll do you one better too. It's like, not only that, Andy, but like they've been practicing for like 4 days.
Sure.
3 days. It's like, so I even when these guys presumably play on Sunday, I'm still not going to get entirely caught up in do they you'll see some differences. Obviously they're moving a lot. You could recognize the motion. You could see, so you'll see the beginnings of things. So we're I'm not going to freak out over the first couple games of and make it sort of the definitive evaluation of the differences with Redick there, because they just haven't enough time to put stuff in, even beyond just the LeBron and AD. When those guys are playing, I still think you have to be careful early, especially this early in the preseason, about making sweeping evaluations of what is or isn't happening in the JJ Redick regime. And to your point, you certainly can't do it when those guys don't play. That said, the Lakers were certainly playing with energy. There was a lot of movement. There was a lot of that stuff. It got a little confused periodically on defense. The Lakers short on size tonight, because not only that, obviously Christian Wood is out, no Jared Vanderbilt, and Cam Reddish also didn't play. So you're without most of your front court, not Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes. And that's basically it. So, a little goofiness ensued. But to your point, Andy, the individual performances in this preseason loss, I know going in, I was interested in Max Christie, I was interested in Dalton Knecht, and I was interested in Jalen Hood-Schifino. And all three of those guys, I thought, played well.
Yeah, I completely agree. We'd start with Max because he started in LeBron's place during this game, and I thought he looked really, really good on both sides of the ball, really confident. He finished with 11 points, 5 of 9 from the field, just 1 of 5 from behind the arc, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. And just early in the game, he hit a 3, and then he put the ball on the floor. This is all in the first quarter, got to the basket using either hand. There was a sequence where he set up Jackson Hayes on a really nice screen and roll. He finished a dunk. A lot of traffic, a lot of contact and traffic. I think it actually could have been an and one. And I also noticed too, and this was great to see defensively with Max. There were plays where he got beat off the dribble, but he kept consistently staying with the play, and he allowed himself to be in the position to either get a couple blocks or to bother shots. Like, he just played with consistent hustle and energy, and he just does not give up.
Well, he stays even when he gets, I'm not sure even on some of these plays if he's really necessarily being beaten so much as he is, funneling in the directions, and he generally stays attached to his guy pretty well. I mean, I just thought, especially in that first half, I thought he was the best player, for the Lakers. I don't want to say the best player on both sides. I wasn't watching the Timberwolves that closely, but I thought for the Lakers, he was their best player. And it was the mixture of stuff. My favorite play, we actually were texting about it during the game, was that pick and roll with Jackson Hayes, where he comes off, the screen from Hayes, and it's a very simple play. Hayes rolls, little pass, bounce pass, whatever, one dribble coming off that screen, and it's like, it's not a super complicated play. But one of Christie's weaknesses last year, the year before, is like when he was asked to be in that ball handler's role, and create in that way, he wasn't always successful. So see the timing there and the confidence there. The 1-3 that he did hit was a corner three, worth noting. And he just does a lot of stuff well and calmly, and there's just a solidity. I heard JJ Redick after the game refer to him as an old soul.
We've been saying this since his rookie season. He is almost unnervingly mature. Like the way that he talked when he was a rookie and he was like 19 when he entered the league, he sounded 30. I mean, like he really talked like somebody who had not just been in the league a while, but like been in life longer than somebody.
He sort of sounds like your financial advisor that you go see.
Julius Randle, we used to talk about that all the time with him. Like he was a very old soul, mature sounding guy when he was a rookie, and you get a lot of that in Christie.
And so like, it's a little like summer league where you want certain guys to distinguish themselves as players. And like the Lakers really are putting themselves in a position where they need Christie to be good. And if Friday night's preseason opener was any indication, he is going to be up to the task. Again, not just because of it, but just the complete game and the totality of it, and the solid. He played like a guy who looks like he's going to be very reliable from a coaching standpoint. Reliable, predictable, will understand a game plan, will execute the game plan properly. Doesn't mean all the shots are always going to go in or all that stuff, but excellent opening for Christie. Knecht was another guy who I thought was very impressive when you look at his offensive numbers. 25 minutes on the floor, 7 of 13 from the floor, 2 of 7 from 3-point range. It actually felt like he made more than that. But he had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And you really saw the comfort with NBA offense. You saw him finish at the rim. You saw him catch and shoot in very tight quarters. And it doesn't seem to bother his shot. You saw some of the athleticism. He looks like he's going to be a really good offensive player in this league.
Yeah, we talked about it during summer league. The outside shot, whether this summer or in this game, has not fallen with as much consistency, but I'm not worried about it not coming around. And then in the meantime, he does look like he's got the makings of a legit 3-level scorer. He is extremely confident with the ball. He's extremely confident moving without it. He had 5 turnovers in this game. He was stripped a couple times. He can be a little bit loose with the handle, but I think that's going to come around.
I thought early he looked, like all these guys do. It's the first. I realize he played summer league, but it's essentially, their sort of pro debut.
But he looks to make plays as well. Like he does not, even though he clearly looks for his shot, I don't think he has tunnel vision, and I think he looks to involve other guys. This game was not a big game for him on the boards, but we saw during the summer league, I think he has real potential to help them out in rebounding. And, when JJ Redick mentioned that 9-man rotation that he was planning, when you think about the team at full strength, assuming they get there, Dalton Knecht seems like somebody who could be on the outside looking in. Redick then clarified, like, it's not set in stone. There could be some flexibility. As you and I talked about, sometimes 9-man can mean 9.5, and the guy who gets like,
it's a different. The ninth man is different from night to night.
Absolutely. Like there can be adaptability to it, but if nothing else, with a few guys out, Jared Vanderbilt, we don't know when he's going to get back. Cam Reddish is still not playing in live scrimmages. There could be opportunities, at least early on, for Knecht to get on the floor. And, the defensive issues are going to be there, but at the very least, he does not look in any way intimidated at the prospect of being out there.
The third guy that we wanted to mention was JHS. Obviously, last year was a total wash for him, at least at the NBA level. He actually did perform pretty well before the back problem took him out for the rest of the season. Like, if you go look at his G League numbers, they're actually really good. But not only was it kind of a lost season at the pro level, it was one where he took a lot of flack for stuff that really was wildly out of his control. Basically for not being Jaime Jaquez or Brandon Bajemski. And I don't blame fans for looking at that and saying, like, those guys would have been much more helpful, because even if Hood-Schifino hadn't been hurt last year, he wasn't NBA ready. And so, I'll be honest with you, there aren't a lot of players sort of in the Lakers ecosystem that I'm rooting for more than JHS, just because I feel bad for him for being, I think in some circles, at least or some fans, like, written off as a bust,
which we have gone out of our way to stress way too early. It is
way too early for that.
Way
too early. And certainly I thought on Friday, he looked like a guy. I'm not saying he's in the rotation. I'm not saying that, but he looked like a player who was an NBA basketball player. And that is a huge leap from last year. The shooting numbers bottomed out at 3 of 9. He missed a couple late, but he had 6 assists, read the floor well. I thought moved pretty well defensively. He looked like an NBA player, which again is a significant improvement over last year.
6 assists against 0 turnovers. Also worth noting. I tweeted out during the game at Cam Brothers, it's one preseason game, and he was often against Minnesota's reserves, some of their inexperienced players, but he looks so much more confident in an actual NBA game in this one instance than he ever did anytime he got on the floor as a rookie. It's just night and day. Like, the way he moved with more confidence, more purpose, he looked so much just better out there beyond just the actual results, like, beyond the numbers, beyond the whatever. He just looked so much more confident and functional and just ready to be on the floor, which that can almost sound like backhanded praise, but I don't mean it that way, because last year
he wasn't. Last year
he was not ready. This year he looks ready to be on the floor. And look, depending on how much that readiness can grow, that gives the Lakers a lot of options in terms of how they go about upgrading the roster, whether you move someone like D'Angelo Russell or Gabe Vincent and JHS is ready to step into those minutes, or JHS develops enough trade value himself that he could be part of a trade. And, and a team might actually want him.
There's no downside to Hood-Schifino.
Yeah. He looked so much better in this game.
So plenty to be encouraged by in the preseason opener. No need to really focus on the score. And of course, a completely different experience coming Sunday when the Lakers play the Suns in Palm Springs or Palm Desert or wherever they technically are. So obviously we'll have Monday's show, the full show for that. But before we go, just a couple things we need to tell you.
Yeah, that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. My daughter, she's 13, and we have bonded a lot over the years through music. Right now, Frank Ocean is someone she is really, really obsessed with, and he has not put out an album in a long time. But she has seen rumors that he could be back in the studio, could mean a tour. And I said, if he does tour, I promise you, I'm going to get his tickets, even though they would be tough to get. But I'm not worried because of Game Time. They make it easier. You can look forward to actually finding tickets using new features like Game Time Picks, which filters out all of the confusing wording and just shows you the incredible deals on great seats, and it saves you time. And they offer seat views, panoramic seat views, so you know exactly what the view to the stage is going to look like, your entire surroundings. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When you get that hunch in the middle of a game, you know, you get a tingle in your knee or whatever it is, the thing that you lets you know that you've got the next bet ready to come. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Of course, if you're interested in the Lakers, Andy, how about Max Christie after his preseason debut? 150-1 for most improved player. That is something he certainly looked like he might be on Friday. Maybe that is a place to think about, but lots to consider, lots to get excited about as sports start to crank up with FanDuel. Again, visit FanDuel.com. See everyone on Monday.